So we do this little thing with the pot.
Okay.
We pretend like it's boiling, sizzling. We do our fingers like this.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we draw something.
Now let's get into this unlearning. This unlearning talk.
Yeah.
First of all, can we just talk about something just completely off topic? How was your relationship with your parents? Like, speaking of unlearning behaviors.
Yeah.
I'm just now starting to get a good relationship with my mom.
Okay.
Because it was one of those things, and I can speak on it now because I feel like people need to speak on it more so other people can understand that trials and tribulations make you better.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to hide from it. So I would rather be transparent with people. But at first I held it in and I was mad. Like I was a big I held it. So me and my mom, we kind of fell out when drugs came into the family. And it was one of those things where I was so young, I didn't understand why she was doing it. So I'm looking at it as this is my mom.
Right.
But as the drugs took me to that space, she was in a different cognitive space to where she didn't see me as that. So it took me till today to understand that she wasn't in her right mind. And I was just like fiending for that feeling that she couldn't give me, that she didn't even know she wasn't providing.
Right.
So, and mom had me, she was 15. So she was a kid raising a kid. I had to understand that we all make choices. And I can't be mad at you for a choice you made when you were growing up and trying to find yourself. I can't hold you to a choice you made when you were 16. So today it's like I can talk on the phone more like I love you, just understanding that that's my mom now. So that's a big thing.
So what advice do you have for anybody that's going through the same thing, like that first step, like to get healing within that relationship with their parent?
The best way I would say to start is to understand and acknowledge that you're hurt. It took me for the longest I was walking around saying I'm fine, I'm alright, I'm good. Knowing I wasn't trying to hide behind this mask of a smile and making people laugh when I was hurting inside. So just really opening up and being vulnerable enough to say I'm hurt.
Emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
That is a great perspective because you have to be emotionally intelligent enough to know that regarding somebody else, because y'all see how many people, how many children that go through stuff like that with their parents and they are angry at them for the rest of their lives, literally full of anger. You have to know.
Not realizing that like parents aren't perfect. They have their own life. They were living their own life. You know, we have to remember that just because they're raising us doesn't mean that they don't have tribulations and trials that they went through and things that, of course, they're going to project things upon us, but we just have to take it as, not with a grain of salt, but I think sometimes we just have to remember that they're learning too. You know, and they're constantly learning.
So I have a question. Like, so you're saying that you realize to say like you're hurt, but what if you've been saying you're hurt, but like your parents don't understand that because they don't even see it that way? Because like you're saying, they're distracted by all of what's going on in their lives, that they are thinking that they are being a good parent because they're providing, they're there for you. But I mean, it takes a little bit more than that.
Exactly. I would answer that with, you have to meet pain with persistence. Pain is a big thing, and you have to constantly attack it, because once you stop, it gains everything it has back. The enemy is always trying to win. So celebrate little victories of, when I tell you I wouldn't answer the phone, when my mom called me, I would get mad instantly. The little victory was answering the phone saying, hey, what's up? As bad as that sounds, that was a victory. And I had to acknowledge that. Like, us being in the same room and me not saying, okay, I'm finna go. Or being able to dwell in the same space without being mad. It just took persistence. I'm talking about years of just, okay, I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna do better. You just have to do that. You have to drill it sometimes, because of course it's hard. And I mean, and everything I say, I want to preface with, challenges are always going to be there. The imperfectness of being human is never going to disappear. So we just have to really orchestrate ourselves with a sense of vulnerability and just capability of learning someone else and seeing another person's view. And I had to take myself out of my own view and put myself in my mom's shoes to see that. What's up?
No, go ahead. I thought you was about to stop. Go ahead.
You good?
No, you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just about to say, just from a different perspective, you said that, they don't understand, they don't see it. A lot of times your parents do see it. it is one of, people don't understand, it's one of the hardest things for a parent to face, that they did not parent their child right, or that they weren't enough for their child. Like, they might not never let you know, you know, that they didn't do enough, that they weren't there for you like you needed them to. Like, I experienced that with my mother. Like, our relationship isn't the best, and it's just now getting back on track. And it's a lot of stuff that happened to me and my siblings when I was a kid, you know, that my mama, she apologized to my other siblings for, but she never apologized to me. And I'm the oldest, and I got to see and I understood the most of what was happening. So I'm like, you know, why? But you know, over time I've noticed, just from talking to her and from my relationship growing, that it's hurtful. Like, it's a deep pain for her to look at herself in that way, or to feel like she hasn't done enough. I might not see it, but she cry every night before she go to bed. You know what I'm saying? When we are talking to her, or she's talking to us about the successes that we've had, you know, her feeling like, I could have did more, I could have been here more, I could have did this differently, you know, that hurts, you know. So a lot of parents don't even show their kids that face, because they want them to feel like they're strong, or like, you know, like they don't really go through anything, because they know that they need to be a rock, or they're supposed to be, at least. So they might not even show them that, but it's hard for them to look at themselves that way. Just imagine how hard it is for us, like, just period, to look at ourselves and to really see ourselves. And imagine that when you have to take care of another human, when you have to raise somebody else, when you implant those behaviors and those characteristics and things inside of them that they have to grow up with, that's going to show when they become an adult. So I just wanted to say that, because I feel that, like, with my own mom. Like,
it's just that I have like such a fix-it personality, so I'm like, I do try to like have times where I'm like, oh, okay, let's do this, like, let's try to be a family, let's do this or whatever.
And it's not that easy.
And it's really not that easy. So like, you cross that threshold of becoming like an emotional bully, because it's like you're taking things out on them from the past that has nothing to do with like the present. So it's like, it's really hard.
And I recently just like came across a book. It's called It Didn't Start With You, and it's by Mark Wollum. And I read just a little bits and pieces of it, but it was talking about the relationships you have with everybody. And one that stuck out with me was the one with my mom, and it was just saying, it had a list of questions. And it was like, ask her about her pregnancy with you, and how everything went with her, and and it just had questions like listed before I was even in the picture. So me and my mom kind of sat down and went through some of that too. So that's a good book to just.
What's it again?
It Didn't Start With You by Mark Wollum. I don't know if it's Wolin or Woolen, but Mark Wollum. Okay. It Didn't Start With You.
And with that title, I feel like that's the main thing with this topic we're talking about, because I tell him all the time, we talk about this all the time, we're talking about building our lives and building a family and how we want to raise our children. And I tell him all the time, you know, if y'all do believe in God, or if y'all have a relationship with God, you have to be honest with him as well. And you have to allow him to root those things out, because it starts at a root, just like it didn't start with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it starts at a root, and you have to allow him to root those things up, but you have to be honest with yourself, and you got to be honest with him, because just like, you know, parents not being able to face themselves, or having to be patient with them or with yourself, and, you know, you feeling like they may not see everything. Dang it, I just went blank. Golly.
But we get what you're saying. Because you inherit so many things from your parents, and it's you can break that cycle. You just need to figure out how to do deep healing and really sit with yourself.
That's what I was about to say. But with all of those things, you have to be honest. You know what I'm saying? You have to be real, and you gotta be real with God. You know what I'm saying? You have to be able to give it to him, because we can't. A lot of times we can't even see how much we're holding on to stuff. It might not show, you know, on the outside all the time, but it's gonna come out some kind of way. You know what I'm saying? A pressure bust pipes. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna come out, but you have to be honest. You have to be able to face your roots. You have to be able to accept the fact that it didn't start with you, because a lot of people take on that pressure, you know, from themselves. And so
that's true.
You gotta be honest, and you gotta root it out.
That's big. I mean, as life goes on, we understand that the line for somebody hurt me is real long. But the other line for I fucked up is real short.
What? Come on.
Real.
That's true though.
The I fucked up pill requires a lot of water.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that.
You got to. You gotta see
I
yourself.
fucked up here. People
But
don't
like, do you guys? Actually, let me not even ask this. Let's get into the pod. Cause shit.
Yeah.
I think it's back to
Thank
back.
God.
That's what I was going to say too.
Okay.
So first question.
First question: is there a danger to self-isolation?
Ooh, of course. Of course. Everything needs mediocrity. Everything has to come in compartments. So when you lock yourself away, if you lock yourself away with a bad vibe, it's only gonna grow. So, and I'm gonna say this, as humans, if we're all imperfect, we all have assumptions. So locking yourself away with this assumption will build it into a story.
Damn.
That once you say this story so much, it will become reality.
Yeah.
So that's something I tell people. That's why I say communicate with me, because if you assume something, if you assume I'm mean for so long, I will be mean to you. Every time you see me, you're gonna see me as mean. But ask me that really see what's going on. So self-isolation can help you, but if you're doing it correctly, I say, even with self, I feel like you need someone, even with self. So I mean, and you can love someone so much that they're a part of you, so they can actually isolate. That's still self. If someone knows you through and through, that's still self. So you have a best friend. Okay, I need to talk to you about this because you see me as who I am. So that's technically self. So it all depends on how you want to define self-isolation.
So when you do like have a best friend or whatever, let's say like you're all about communication,
Right.
but they're all about self-isolation. How do you deal with that? Do you ever try to bring them up to where you are so you can like be like, hey, let's do this?
If you're my best friend, if you're a friend and someone I care about, I will want better for you. But I've learned that don't stress myself trying to play someone where they don't want to be. If I want you to be a CEO and in your mind you can only be a janitor, I will hurt myself trying to pull you to that place. So it's only so much I can do that you'll let me in. Being a friend is being vulnerable, being responsible.
Go ahead, Phre. Phre, go ahead, because you haven't said anything. I'm gonna let you speak.
I think it's key. I mean, it's definitely tough, but I think, like I said, everybody's here for somebody. Nobody was meant to be here by themselves. Nobody was put here just to be alone.
Are you sure? Because people die.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, people die alone.
Is it by choice though?
But that's a choice.
Yeah.
It's a choice. Because, I mean, just like, yeah, you have a choice to have company, but even if you didn't make the choice to have company, it's there. Regardless. It's always around, you know what I'm saying? It's always available. Anywhere you go, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to put in an effort to be alone. You don't have to put in an effort to have company. Everywhere you step, you can literally look next to you and say, hey, and that may become your best friend for all we know. And, it's the same as even what you have in yourself, what you build in yourself, that's content you've built to give to other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've built this and you've learned these things and you've, manifested and you've built this character to share with somebody. You know what I'm saying? Or, even a mass of people, because you have to share with them, and by sharing it with these people, you also help them, but they also help you, because then if they're your friend, if they do care about you, they can say, that doesn't fit you. Oh, this fits you. Oh, I see what you're doing. I like what you're doing. Oh, I think you should, you know what I'm saying? Because they can see more, sometimes they can see certain angles of you that you can't see yourself.
Good point.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's part of, you gotta.
So do you think like you should stop being friends with people who cannot reciprocate like those type of like, I mean, I'm gonna call it validation, because I mean everybody needs validation to an extent with your relationship. So I mean,
I treat friendship as, I'm a business major, so I understand, does business make sense? So as a friendship, I treat it as an investment, emotional investment. If I'm not getting any returns on my investment, eventually what will happen? I have to cut it off.
okay.
That's true.
That's facts.
Yeah, I think there's a point where you have to cut some people off.
Because y'all have to do it?
Yeah, and I think also, there are certain, because I understand there are certain people that you can't, it's hard, or you just can't get rid of, but that it doesn't mean that you don't necessarily have to just completely do away with them. You know what I'm saying? You can love them from a distance.
Yeah,
you can
handle them differently.
Right, you can, give them a percentage, You know, just the
Mhm.
how you doing? Okay, you good? Great. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you don't have to
Associate
fully
zone.
invest.
So
Yeah. Right.
Do you ever have that conversation with them? Like, yo, I don't want to be cool with you no more. Like,
I feel it's a certain accountability to being blunt. I'm a blunt guy.
Yeah,
And it's like, it just, but that's, I feel like we try to make things so mushy sometimes.
Mhm.
Like, if it's black, if it's raining, you're wet. If it's hot outside, you're sweating. It's simple as that. Reaction is an opposite reaction. Like, it's just, you need that. It's something that causes that. So if I'm in a space where I feel like you're not letting me be your friend, and I can't come to you and say, okay, this ain't gonna work. And we have another issue of how much do you trust me? And I feel like that's a big word that we dance around, is trust.
Yeah.
That's me though. I make sure I have those conversations with my friends because you start off as associates. I'm serious.
Yeah.
You start off as associates.
You level up.
Exactly. And so
Trial
when those things start to happen, I tell all my associates before they become friends, I'm only going to put in that effort to have these conversations with you and decide whether or not we're going to go further after this if I see you in my life. If I don't see you in my life, if I don't feel like this friendship is going to go past this, I'm not going to have a conversation. We can just let it be and it'll eventually fade away, you know what I'm saying? But I am very, very honest, very transparent, very blunt, so conversation has to be had. Because if not, they'll linger, you know what I'm saying? And they'll just be there draining your energy, in different areas. And just like both of them were saying, about, cutting people off or cutting them off in certain areas, because that's what I call it. That's what I do. If you continuously let me down when it comes to finances, or you know what I'm saying, exactly. We not doing that no more. So when we go to the movies, don't ask me to spot you because I already know how you operate. Like, so when it comes to like, I'll just cut people off in certain areas. If I want them around. So.
I like that you said certain areas because some people will experience like not getting paid back and will treat like every other friend like that.
And you don't do that. You don't do that.
Because everybody's
You don't
not the
do
same.
that.
And what one friend did to you, another friend probably won't. You know what I mean?
With friendship, you also have to find out what people do well.
Yeah.
Put your friend in the best place to be a friend.
That.
If you're good at calming me down, that's what you do. Don't try to do. You don't have to do much else. I don't need you to be my financial friend. I don't need anything.
Come on.
Can you be my emotional friend? That's what you're good at. Cool. Let me put you there.
Right.
But then that also takes self accountability and saying I might have placed them in the wrong place.
Mm-hmm.
I might have put the wrong onus on this person.
Yeah.
So it's always reflected back before you go to them and say, okay, let me see where we can move this. Now, if I can't put you in no space, you got to go.
Yeah.
Now, if it's no place where you to fit,
Why are we friends?
I'm moving on to something better.
All right, next question. Should we? Shh. Yeah.
It's so fun. I think it is. All right, guys. Sorry.
What are you doing today?
Do what y'all want. Intuition versus paranoia. Ooh.
Oh wow, that's good. That's really good.
See, that's hard because it depends on what relationship you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's a
Yeah, it depends on what relationship you're talking. Relationship, because if it's with friends, if it's with a relationship with your partner, because sometimes paranoia, intuition is paranoia in a sense, but your intuition doesn't lie to you.
That's what I'm
so. At the end of the day, you can be paranoid and thinking something, but when you feel it in your gut and we know, especially women. Sorry, fellas.
For the go there.
I'm sorry, but I know how many times, I can't even count how many times something has happened to me and I was just like, am I tripping? Like, did that really happen? No, that's not going on or something. And then 2 months later, everything comes to the light and it's like I knew it all along. So I think sometimes trust your intuition, like trust that.
The way I attack that is I tell people everything can be subjective, and only challenge I have to that is when people say my intuition is 100% correct. Germex doesn't kill 100% of germs.
Come on.
So I mean, don't let your intuition. I feel like intuition only goes into paranoia when you feel like your intuition is the end all be all. If I feel you cheating, you're cheating. Or if I feel like you don't like me, you don't like me.
Yeah.
Like if you let that feeling just be the judge and jury of the situation, that's when it's paranoia.
Paranoia, that's true. What
What you think?
I think intuition and or paranoia is the end result because they both come from the same place. and then as the situation develops, you know, either it keys to your intuition or it keys to paranoia. But it's just wherever you allow your mind to travel, because you know what I'm saying, in all honesty, you don't know until you know. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, are you diving too deep into it and trying to add extra things, which then becomes paranoia, or are you allowing it to be what it is and reveal itself, which then is intuition? So I think it's just the end result.
Well, do they come from the same place? Because I disagree. I feel like paranoia comes from negative experiences, and intuition comes from more of a healthy experience.
Yeah.
Because even into something dealing with intuition can be negative, but you are in a healthier mind state to know that, you know, everybody is not doing the same thing. This is just this one time that I can feel this, you know. I really know that this is happening, but I just feel like I said, intuition comes from a healthier, more positive space. Paranoia comes from a more negative space, and paranoia is
lack of accountability.
Yes. And you apply it to everyone. You know what I'm saying? You apply it to every situation, and it's more of self-sabotage than it is me taking myself out of something because I know something wrong is going on right here. Exactly. That's more of self-sabotage and paranoia. But intuition is more of, okay, I can see what's going on here. Let me remove myself so I won't end up hurting myself in the end. You know what I'm saying? That's just what I think about that. I think they come from two different places.
To, like I said, like the relationship you're in, you gotta figure out, because if it's an unhealthy relationship, then of course, like you said, like paranoia is always gonna be there. If that person, and that's another thing. Sometimes we don't know how to walk away when someone has done us wrong, so we stay, and then instead of intuition, we already know what we know, but then we let paranoia cloud our judgment, and then that takes over. So
sabotage.
Yeah.
Which is why I say I think they come from. I think what I mean by they come from the same place is they boil in the same pot, just like love and hate boil in the same pot. Then you choose which direction to go in, which is the end result.
You can understand that. All right.
It's a good way to drive it.
Before we done, men have intuition too. We just not talked about men. We have intuition.
Do you guys know how to decipher it?
Oh yeah, that's when I say men. I didn't say boys.
Come on.
Come on. All right.
Okay.
And I think
that's in our place.
I'm sorry. I just think that they're not as vocal about theirs as we are about ours, and you know we are known to be emotional beings. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like y'all might be more emotional than we are. Y'all just don't show it like we do. You know?
That's a big point.
That's very.
Cause me seeing I'm sorry, just with friends and just thinking about, you know, breakups, for example, me seeing one of my homegirls hurt and me seeing one of my homeboys hurt, that's two totally different things. And I'm sorry, but it's something, it just looks worse on the guy's side. It really does.
And I don't
know
if it's from that man needing a woman. Some men just need a woman.
But
they don't know how to be alone. They don't know how to be by themselves. So
I'm glad you said that. You saying that and him saying, no, you said that nobody is meant to be alone, but I'm a believer. I'm sorry. That's Bible, okay? When God when He made the earth, that's one of the first things that He said, that it's not good for man to be alone, and that's why He gave Adam Eve.
Like you do need to find yourself. You can't just jump from woman to woman.
Exactly.
We're not saying that either.
Yeah, we're not saying that, but we're just saying you're talking about that feeling of a man needing a woman. They still always feel like they need a woman. You still always feel like you need somebody.
Things. I was raised by both my parents. They're still together, and just seeing my mom's reaction sometimes to when my parents will have an argument, because if I've seen a marriage is beautiful, but a marriage can also be ugly. You see a lot through it. So I think like seeing how I reacted to the man that I was with from what my mom would do, and not necessarily like a bad thing, but just how it's a snap, like a hello, you know. And it's a lot of women that do that, but I think just my reaction, and that would be one. And what's another thing? Ooh, that's a good one. I probably would just be my reaction. That's one that I have like successfully learned, because I actually I sit down, I think about what I need to say, how I need to say it. That's another thing, how I'm saying something. Actually, that's something that I learned, how to say something, because you can say anything, but it's how you say it. We talked about that.
I'll bring it up again.
And we talked about that before. So how I say things as well. Don't bring that up.
We didn't have.
Oh my God. I didn't say that. I said bring a little bit more.
Okay.
But
Okay.
but yeah, so that's one thing. How I say things.
I think just being more aware of how my being affects those around me. You know what I'm saying? Like even though it may be for myself, even though I think I'm doing it just for me, you know, even though I think it only affects me, but really because, you know, the tie or, you know, how I may be intertwined with those around me, you know, even my actions for myself can affect those around me, you know. So just being more self-aware and also being, you know, self-aware in my situation as well.
It's a hard thing to do. Okay. Well, I would say I successfully unlearned like taking the blame all the time. Cause like if there was like an argument, I would be like, all right, fine, shit, like it's my fault, whatever. Like, or if something happened, or if my mom would always blame me for some reason, cause I was the only girl. So I'd be like, all right, fine, it was me, damn. But like I've learned to like not just be like, all right, like I can call people out now on what they do.
What about you?
The biggest one I had to learn that I didn't know how to be a friend or a lover. I had to stop assuming that I knew how to be someone's friend without asking.
Oh.
I had to assume, and I'm a big relationship advocate because people don't. Stop assuming that when you first meet someone, throw everything you knew out the window. You don't know this person. You need to ask them from step one, how do I be your friend? Do you know that answer? If not, we need to find it together. Or with a woman, stop using old tendencies that you had before. And when it comes to pleasure, etc., I had to just throw everything out the window and ask those basic questions of how do I be your friend, how do I be your man? So and stop assuming that I knew anything, because this is a whole new person.
So if someone said they wanted to call in, is their request still up?
And it's dying.
All right, we don't care.
They
All
both
right,
don't.
let's move on. Sis.
But let's move on next.
Okay. Behaviors that carried out by your parents that you wish to unlearn. So something like your
I
parents
just did. I just said reaction. Let me choose
Yeah.
another one.
So you just stopped. You sit down.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I would say, because I was raised by women, just being, they were also strong-willed to a fault, to where you can be so stern about something, so adamant that you won't let anybody kind of comfort that can kind of move for real. You can't.
I was gonna say that next.
Look, so I took yours.
You did. It's okay, I got another one.
Go.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Oh,
They're waiting for the
I doubt that you have another.
Phre.
Oh, she got it. She done. I called her bluff.
He's judging. Go ahead.
Internalizing.
Internalizing?
You know, I internalize just about everything, and I feel like, you know, what's the point of sharing or allowing this to affect somebody else? I'll figure it out.
We can always get to a solution though.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what I'm saying, as being a human being, you never want to bother other people with your own issues or, you know what I'm saying, thoughts. Sometimes you feel like, what's the point of saying anything because they're not going to understand.
I wish people thought like you.
Actually,
I know people that bother me with this.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I am that person. Like, I feel like if we're cool, like we're like actually close or whatever, or we're family, I do feel like I need to be held to a certain, like, you know, standard. Like, just like how I would hold you to a certain standard or whatever.
Of course.
So I mean, like, I just expect it from people. Like, you know, I don't think there's an issue with that. Especially like if you're talking about yourself, you should have times where you talk about yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is all about you. Damn.
I mean, sometimes, but I mean, it's just natural, or you know, being, you know, like, because I don't know what you're dealing with, I don't know what you're going through, and then sometimes
after.
True, but sometimes it doesn't necessarily feel like it's important to anybody else but you, and so therefore, why bring it up?
Why have
say
friends?
anything? You know what I'm saying?
If I can't be excited and tell you something, then I don't see a point in it.
I did think of one little thing though. One thing is probably I think it just might be the new generation, but my parents are very adamant. Get you a job, get you a 401k set up, get this, get that. You know, and I think that's great for people who want that. But I think that some parents don't instill in their children that you can start a business, you can be successful, you can make your own money. So I think for me, that's one thing that I'm unlearning. My parents always saying, get your job. I went to school. I have my degree. I'm going to get my master's. You know what I'm saying? So I want to work for myself as well. I can own a business. I can do things for myself. You know what I mean? So I think that's one thing that I'm unlearning too.
Nah, for real. Coming from an African household,
Yeah.
it's like, you gotta be a doctor,
Yeah.
a lawyer. I'm like, man, like you taught me how to. My mom taught me how to act. So I mean, I'm like, I want to be a creative because of you.
Can I add one?
Yeah.
This is for the successfully unlearned and something from my parents. It just applies to both this settling in my life, period, relationships, jobs, travel, school, whatever it is. I'm a first generation college grad, and you know I'm from the Cliff. Like my whole family live in the Cliff. You know what I'm saying? Like
records.
But that's what I'm saying. Like you know, everybody graduated. Not everybody graduated high school. Most of them graduated high school. Some of them started college, probably got in a couple credits, didn't finish, didn't follow all the way through. You know what I'm saying? Never traveled. You know what I'm saying? And it's just a lot of stuff in my life that I feel like I was afraid to do because nobody else in my family did it. But I broke down those barriers for myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm breaking generational curses. You know what I'm saying? It's just settling in my life, period, because it's easy to become comfortable, you know, for where you've been for so long and never try to maneuver anywhere else or do anything else. So like I said, when it comes to relationships, I'm not settling, you know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of women in my family settled for men that were just nice to them, you know what I'm saying? That were just, oh, you know, he looks like a good man on paper, but, you know, with me, you know, does he nurture me? Does he take care of me? Does he make me feel safe? You know what I'm saying? So settling, that's something that I feel like I've successfully unlearned, and something that, you know, I didn't want to carry on from my parents and, you know, just their lives and their relationships, even my grandparents, you know, so.
Salute to you.
For real.
Is there anything that you guys find yourself having to like unlearn every day? Like I would say with myself, it would probably have to be jealousy. Like I'm not even gonna lie, like I used to tell my mom like I'm not jealous because she would treat my brothers better or whatever. But then like when I moved out, I was like, you know what? I kind of was like jealous. Like I didn't like being the one in charge because I wasn't even the oldest. But because like in foreign households, when you're the only girl, you're always like the one taking care of everybody. So yeah, jealousy, like that's what I have to unlearn every day.
For me, every day, I think I'm unlearning.
I'll be ready.
Now like something like, you know, that you can like literally unlearn in a second.